You guys might think I'm trying to continually push this narrative, but I'm telling you what the NFL wants to see. And if it is up to them, this is how things will go. Now, we talked about the Detroit Lions hosting the LA Rams in the NFC title game, in which Matthew Stafford stands before the Detroit Lions in their first Super Bowl appearance ever. Now, I don't think it gets any better than that, but there is another scenario that you guys might have seen, a video I made a couple nights ago, and how that the LA Rams might actually face up in almost a mirror situation of last year's playoffs when the Rams came to Detroit. Now, there will be a wild card team. Either the Minnesota Vikings or the Detroit Lions will be the 5th seed, and that team will have to start on the road. And it's possible that the Detroit Lions could be that team. Now, all they have to do is win. The Detroit Lions can afford to lose one game. The Minnesota Vikings can afford to lose none. If the Detroit Lions lose against any one of their next 2 games, they still have a chance to actually get there if the Minnesota Vikings lose just one, and we'll look at that in just a second. But as I was going through the scenario of the video about the everything or nothing, the Detroit Lions are either going to have the 1st seed or the 5th seed, I stumbled across another situation that the Detroit Lions and LA Rams would meet. And let me show you what that is. I know you guys you might not believe it, but you can actually look. I got the receipts. You can go back and you can look, and I predicted how last season was going to go. I start calling the LA Rams early November coming to Detroit. And I'll live and die by this. This is why we lost the game in Dallas, because if we win that game in Dallas, then that makes things a little touchy for that number 1 seed. We were still in play, but once we lost that game and a certain amount of things happened, we were stuck in the number 3 seed. The Dallas Cowboys had number 2. It would have been tougher to try to match up the LA Rams with the Detroit Lions. Now, for the people in the comment section, when you say, do I believe the game is rigged? I don't think that the game is rigged, okay? Meaning when I hear the word rigged, that means there's a predetermined winner. I don't think that's the case. What I do believe is that it is a narrative in play, meaning that there are storylines that the NFL wants to push. It's just like a soap opera. They want to keep you hooked, right? Look at what's happening. Look at what's happening between in the NFL and today's. How else do you explain teams literally having everything to play for every single year? The last game of the season usually is all on the line. 2 years ago, the Detroit Lions played in a game in which they were eliminated from playoff contention, but had they lost, then the Packers go. But since they won, it sent the Seahawks, right? Every single year. So there's narratives that the NFL tries to push. So narrative driven is it can be swayed the outcome can be swayed, but it's not definitive, right? The NFL has what they want, but it's not predetermined, if that makes sense. So I don't think that the NFL, when I hear rigged, I think there's you're going to go into this game, the Detroit Lions are going to win, the Detroit Lions are going to lose, blah, blah, blah. Once the Detroit Lions, that 2-point conversion would have thrown off the narrative. So they had to say that number 70 didn't report eligible or whatever the situation was, right? So that's my explanation. I hope that makes sense. But here's how the Detroit Lions could meet the LA Rams in the NFC wildcard game. Check this out. Now, these games are already done. The Kansas City Chiefs played on Christmas. They got a victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Texans did not even show up. They scored a measly 2 points as the Baltimore Ravens destroyed them on the road. Like, that's crazy, right? So we got the Seahawks that won on Thursday night. Now, this is the outcome that I have going on here. I think that the LA Rams are going to beat the Arizona Cardinals. They're already eliminated from playoff contention. This is a huge game for the Seattle Seahawks because if the LA Rams win this game, the Seattle Seahawks are eliminated from playoff contention, okay? So we go down, and this is how I think it's going to go. But the Detroit Lions are going to beat the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. I have them beating the Minnesota Vikings. And then if we go to week 18, we already know how that is going to go. I have right here, you can see what's happening here. All right, so if it goes like that in week 18, and as you can see, I've already done every single game except I've got them winning this game. All right, I've done every single game except the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, so heading into that game, here's how the Detroit Lions could face the LA Rams in the wild card round. The LA Rams right now, if the LA Rams win in week 17, they eliminate, which is today. I believe you're watching this on a Sunday. If they win this game, they have won the NFC West, which means that they're going to be either seed 3 or 4. Now, in this scenario, they are seed number 4. For that to happen, the Washington Commanders have to beat the Atlanta Falcons. That's the one that matters here, because the seeds 3 and 4 are either going to be the Falcons Bucks at 3, Falcons Bucks at 4, Rams Seahawks at 3, Rams Seahawks at 4. I don't know if the Seahawks can get to 4, but or 3, but we'll see. Okay, so for that to happen, the Washington Commanders need to beat the Atlanta Falcons, which would put, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to beat the Carolina Panthers. Right now, you can see here I've got Green Bay winning, but then I have Detroit winning this game here. Okay, so for us to get that bottom seed or the 5th seed, if we win, we stay first. If we lose, we stay first. But for us to get that seed, here's what would have to happen. The Detroit Lions the Minnesota Vikings would have to win out. All right. So they would have to beat us twice. At that point, we drop down to the 5th seed and we fly to LA. If these things happen, the LA Rams have to, even if they beat the Seahawks, so they have to lose to the Seahawks. They could win. They have to lose one of their next 2 games. At this point, the Seahawks wouldn't be playing for anything. So they could just be playing seeding spoiler. Rams would still make the playoffs, but their seeding would be different. So the Rams would win in week 17, but lose in week 18. All right. And that is in SoFi. Seahawks trying to play spoiler. The Falcons, at this point, I don't really believe that this game matters at this point. The Atlanta Falcons, I think they pretty much would be done if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers finish the job in New Orleans. All right. So at this point, now if the Lions win, Lions get the 1st seed, and then you got the Rams hosting the Minnesota Vikings. But if the Lions lose that game and win in San Francisco, then so basically Minnesota has to win out. The Lions have to drop 1, and the Rams have to win. The Rams have to win 1 of 2. The Washington Commanders have to win 2 games. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to win 2 games. If those things happen, the Detroit Lions will go to the wild card round, go to SoFi to be hosted by the LA Rams. Now, that one is a lot less likely, because that would mean that the Detroit Lions would have to do something they haven't done in 2 years, but here's the thing. The Lions, let me go back, because I think that the Lions can actually, yes, the Lions can afford to lose 1. The Minnesota Vikings can afford to lose none. Okay, so the Minnesota would have to win out, and that means they would have to beat us and the Green Bay Packers. We would have to lose either game to the San Francisco 49ers, and the Rams and Commanders would have to play a part in that as well, as far as the seeding. That one's tough. I think the NFL says, hey, we can make more money in the NFC title game. That would be something. You're talking about Stafford coming back to Ford Field. Jared Goff. As a matter of fact, it's on the soundboard, so why am I saying it? Because it's right here. That is from the NFC title game, the NFC wildcard game, where it originated against Matthew Stafford. So you got that times 1,000. Stafford, quarterback, 2009, got almost every record with the Detroit Lions, standing between us and our first Super Bowl. That is the highest ratings you will ever see. Second to that would be a rematch of last year, where now we're 14-3, they're 9-8, 10, whatever they are. We go to them after hosting them last year. So we have to go there to SoFi after they had to come to us. So I would not put it past the NFL to try to make this happen. All right. I'm not here to push your beliefs. This is something that I've always believed in, but I still watch the game anyway. I still, I've been asking the NFL to favor the Detroit Lions. And there's no doubt that is happening right now. There's been some calls that we've been on the other side of that we used to not get those calls several years ago. And I strongly believe that in 2022, we did not make the playoffs. If you go back to that Rams-Seahawks game, it was some questionable calls in that game. Now, our game hadn't already been played, so we would have had to just win. But once the Seattle Seahawks won that game, because they beat us and held the tiebreaker, we were automatically eliminated. I think that the NFL could see what the Detroit Lions were building and who we were going to become, and we did just that. The next year, we went 12-5, and it's almost setting us up for the perfect kind of end to the narrative. And I think that one way or another, the narrative ends this year. I don't think that Matthew Stafford has it in him, whether he's with the Rams. I don't see him either taking the Rams or going, the dude's 37, 6, somewhere around there, rapidly approaching 40. I don't see him taking another team to the Super Bowl. It could be in the, AFC if he goes somewhere. I know he wants to still play, but he could be about to pack it up. And I just don't know how many times the NFL can paint this narrative into a corner. So I think this is the end of the road. I think there's kind of the epilogue where he comes back to the Lions to retire, or either as a backup quarterback. It could be a thing where he does that. But outside like the major narrative, I think it ends. And it'll be crazy if it ends and begins with a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford won as soon as he was traded. That year, he won a Super Bowl. And wouldn't it be crazy if the narrative ends with Jared Goff winning a Super Bowl? I'll tell you what, if this happens, you can come back to this video and be like, bruh, what are the lottery numbers for tomorrow? Because I'm telling you, this stuff, the NFL needs to do a better job of keeping this secret or covering it up, because it's getting kind of ridiculous now. Just like the Chiefs. The Chiefs will be in a Super Bowl. They're going to make sure of everything. They're not going to let a three-peat fade away, not even to Josh Allen or the Lamar Jackson. This team has won, until last night or Christmas, they won 16 consecutive games by one score. They're trying to get them to there. So anyway, let me know your thoughts, man. Interested to know. Still love the game. Still support my team, because for me, it's more than just a game. It's what it represents. Detroit Lions represent the city and everything about it. All right. So anyway, this channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You are watching this video, and I am probably not asleep. I think I am not going to sleep tonight. I have to be at the airport at 4:15. My flight is at 6:15. I'm probably going to leave for the airport at 3:30 at the latest. So right now, when this video is dropping, I'm probably packed up and ready to go and just maybe trying to catch some Z's. So I'll see you guys on the road as we travel to San Francisco to get sweet, sweet revenge for last year's brutal NFC title game loss, as the 49ers are playing for pride at this point. We have built the foundation. You guys continue to help me build that. We don't have any fake foundations over here. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. It's so much more I can say, but only thing I wish a brother would.